Welcome back, everybody, to another Digital Gate Studios production. We got Basil back in the house with his first BT15 deck on the channel. It's got to be a green deck, right?
No, this is...
No.
Believe it or not, this is actually an EX5 deck.
Okay.
This one was a little bit delayed because I really wanted it to be as good as possible.
Okay.
And you've heard me a number of times on podcast and deck profiles say, eventually, a deck and a tribe gets so much support and so many cards that it has to be good.
Yep.
And this was the origination of that. Because if I asked you, once EX5 was revealed, between EX5 and BT11, what was the most supported tribe in the game?
Everyone's going to say Greymon.
Everyone would say Wargrey.
Yeah.
Everyone would say Melga. Everyone would say everything. But they're wrong. The most supported tribe in the game is Sukamon.
Oh.
It has the most cards between EX5 and BT11. And that's a fact.
You obviously did the math with the spreadsheet or something.
I've been looking at these cards, driving myself insane. And this is my final version of the deck. This is Sukamon. This is not an Edamon deck profile. This is not Numemon coming soon. This is a King Sukamon deck profile.
This is the one where you use those. You turn your Digimon.
I turned my
into
Digimon into
Sukamon.
poop. And everyone was really excited for it in BT11, but it just didn't have the support.
Yep.
But now, at the tail end of EX5, going into BT15, I can confidently say that it has enough support.
Everyone was waiting for the curse.
That's
think.
right.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump in with the Digitama, tried and true, sticking with the Pagu.
There it is.
There is a new egg in BT15, which is on deletion if it's your opponent's turn, draw one. And I think that is quite good. The reason that it is not making it as the egg in this list is because we're swinging with 1 and 2K level 4s a lot in this deck. And it is sort of like a treat when they live, not so much your game plan.
Yeah.
So you really can't plan on like things dying on your opponent's turn as easily as you can on them dying on your turn. So that's why I'm sticking with the Pagumon.
The old on deletion.
Yeah. One of the big struggles that I had building this deck is the rookie lineup. Because as most of you know by now, cards called Chumon Evo for 1 a lot of the time.
Except for the OG.
So the big strategy with the rookie lineup to start is Chumons that didn't Evo for 1. The first is the BT13 Chumon. This says on play, trash a Sukamon or Edamon to grab a Sukamon from the trash. And the reason that I ended up going with this card is because, like I said, this is specifically tailored around Sukamon. I'll talk a little bit throughout the deck profile in terms of lines that I think align better with the Edamon stuff.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that. But for the Sukamon deck, this is our best Chumon. Our second best Chumon, like you said, is the OG. The Floodgate Chumon. I love Floodgates, and for some reason, this is the tribal Floodgate in black. So it's the memory blocker, but it's also called Chumon. Our rookie over here says on deletion, if this was a Sukamon or Edamon, play a Chumon suspended.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times you do want to play this one to grab back that Sukamon.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times you just want to play out a Floodgate for free.
Yeah,
Which a lot of colors can't really say. So that's
most
quite
can't.
nice.
Yeah. It's always nice to have that ability to play that for free if you're looking across your opponent and they have boosts set up and they're you're just like, oh,
slap down a Chumon. The next Chumon is the EX5. This is our only inclusion of 1 to Evo Chumons.
Okay.
This one says on play, if it's your opponent's turn, reveal 3 and play a Sukamon. And that is quite nice because we are playing that level 5 King Sukamon, which is playable by this effect.
Oh, it's Sukamon
because
in
it's
name?
Sukamon in name.
Oh.
As well as all of our level 4s say Sukamon. So basically we have a very high chance of hitting on this card. Of course, the problem being it's only getting it on play on your opponent's turn.
Yeah.
As well as it's 1 to Evo, which if you aren't Evoing for 1 with a very good reason, it's kind of hard to justify.
Seems good enough to me.
Yeah, the other Chumons, the BT11 said when you evolve into a Sukamon, reduce it by 1. So basically, you're paying the 1 forward to get the 1 back later.
Yeah.
Which is just not strong enough.
Kind of a gimmick. Yeah.
It's not as good as this one or this one. And then the other Chumon is the mono yellow, the BT14.
Yeah.
And the reason that I'm not playing that is because it is mono yellow. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But I think specifically the yellow line in BT14, that was Chumon, Sukamon into Edamon, is a completely different deck than this. If you want to play that, I'll mention cards that you should go up on and go down on. But this is what I'm sticking with for the Chumons.
Gotcha.
But of course, wouldn't be a Basil deck profile without a couple Ukomons running around.
Slap them on.
Yeah, if you haven't been in the sort of memosphere in the Digimon community, there's a picture of the guy with the Flex Seal tape.
Yeah.
And he just says, Ukomon. And
I'll throw it up. It'll be
Yeah,
it'll be
that-
there.
that'll fix
Check
it.
it out. It's pretty
Ukomon's
funny.
an amazing card in any deck, especially aggressive Rookie Rush style decks. Not that this is a Rookie Rush deck, but a lot of our stuff is quite cheap.
I wouldn't say it's Rookie Rush, but it's definitely a chip deck.
Yeah, and I've
For
also found that Ukomon and Pagumon is very nice because
Yeah.
they are going to want to out that Ukomon as fast as possible. And so it's going to activate the Pagumon because it doesn't specify. It has to be black to get its on deletion.
Yeah.
So I like Ukomon. That's it for the rookies. We'll jump straight into the level 4s. The first is the BT11 Sukamon.
Yeah.
This is our searcher in the deck, and it's on the level 4, which is kind of weird for a lot of decks. But it's 3 to hard play, 2 to Evo, and then on deletion, flip 3, grab a Sukamon, Chumon, or Edamon, trash the rest. And so this is good for a number of reasons. The first is that it can grab any Digimon in our deck. A lot of these stuff...
Except for Ukamon.
Except for Ukomon. A lot of the stuff in the deck is specific to, like, this is trash a Sukamon or Edamon and name to only grab back a Sukamon. And this one's more universal.
Yeah.
That's because in BT11, when it came out, you really needed to grab everything because there just wasn't as much cards. But I like this Sukamon. And then one of the priorities for me in the Inheritable was I wanted all of them to say all turns when this Digimon would be deleted, delete a Sukamon to prevent that deletion.
Yeah.
Because that is the core of the deck. We'll jump into the undisputed MVP of the deck, and that is the Platinum Sukamon.
This card is so
on
menacing.
deletion, D-Digivolve 1,
Yep.
and then the same Inheritable as well. This card is incredible because you're going to activate your all turns a lot of the times to kill this if you aren't killing one of your opponent's Digimon that has been turned into a token.
Yeah.
If not, then we're deleting this. We're saving our stack as well as D-Digivolving 1.
Yeah.
And you'll see that with this deck, I value D-Digivolve extremely heavily. I think it's one of the strongest effects in the game, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
And once again, 3-cost hard play.
And 3-cost hard play.
Insane.
Which is all of our level 4s, and we'll get into the last one, which is the EX5 Targetmon. This has the rule. This is also a Sukamon and an Edamon.
Ooh.
I don't know what Targetmon comes from. The lore masters in the comments will educate me. The bad thing about this card is it's 3 to Evo, as well as 3 to hard play. So we're almost never Evoing this card. But it has the ability you can pitch a Sukamon to grab this card back from the trash. So basically, it's going to set up our trash with Sukamons to activate our King Sukamon ability.
And it's a blocker, right?
And it's a blocker. So we're going to keep our hand fill that way as well as set up our trash. And then it has, again, the same Inheritable. Delete a Sukamon to prevent deletion. So, the boss monster. We're getting to it early.
The king.
The King Sukamon. This card was super interesting. For those of you who don't know, I've been playing the game since BT10. And the first big tournament, I say big, the first competitive tournament I really played in was at Mox Valley Games, a local card shop. They were running a tournament in the BT11 format, pre-restriction, for a Ghost Omni.
Yep.
The White Omni.
We promoted it on the channel.
Yeah, we talked about it a lot on the channel, and it was my first foray into really practicing hard for a tournament. And I was practicing a lot with Blackrock Greymon X because the Greymon X wasn't restricted at the time. And I was talking with players, and they're like, you've got to watch out for the Sukamon deck because it's going to take your Blackrock Grey X, turn it into a 3K token, and then delete it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's pretty scary. I hope that doesn't happen to me. And it did not. But the case remains that this is unironically one of the strongest forms of removal in the game.
For sure.
It takes one of your opponent's Digimon, irrespective of abilities, irrespective of level, color, etc. And there's nothing that protects it in the game from this ability, aside from like things like Craniumon, where you're not affected by Digimon effects.
Yeah.
If you're able to be affected by Digimon effects, you will become a white 3K with an original name of Sukamon.
Yep.
That's going to invalidate almost all of your inheritables most of the time. It's going to invalidate your ability to Digivolve. You're going to lose color requirements in certain instances. There's a lot to like about this ability, and so this is how I feel the deck should be built. For those of you who want to build away from this, I understand. You need to change the entire deck.
Yeah.
You need to change your level 4s. You need to change... you can keep... The rookies are pretty... standard. But if you want to move away from this, this is not the deck profile for you.
Yeah.
Which is why I got in a lot of interesting discussions about this card, because I opted for 4 of the promo Edamon.
Interesting.
And people are asking me, why are you playing this card? And that's because I value this a lot more than anything else in level 5. On play and when digivolving, de-digivolve 1.
Yep.
So that's incredibly strong, as previously mentioned. I think de-digivolve is great. As well as the inheritable, on deletion, play a yellow or black Digimon card with a play cost of 3 from the hand.
Yep.
I am not planning on winning the game with a level 6. That's not sort of the strategy of this deck.
Yeah.
So I value this card heavier because basically once we're into this Edamon and we go into the level 6 on top of it, that is not how you win the game. You win the game from the King Sukamon swinging for 5 checks and deleting their board on the way.
Yeah.
So this Edamon is basically the enabler for the King Sukamon to do that.
Gotcha.
And then once we go on top of that, a lot of the other Edamon cards have different triggers for their abilities. For example, the EX5 Edamon is something I was playing a lot with while I was waiting for these promos to come in the mail. And it just didn't mesh with the deck very well because it has the ability on play and when digivolving, neg 3K something, and then make it attack start a main.
Right.
So kind of like a Laplace's Demon or a
Craniumon.
or what's the hybrid? The Sephirothmon ability.
Oh, yeah.
And then once you were on top of that into the EX5 Metal Edamon, you could put something into your security called Sukamon. So you put the Sukamon, the Edamon, the yellow Edamon, and then do security effects like that. And that was sort of the win condition of that deck.
More gimmicky.
It's more gimmicky, and I just found that I really wanted the star of the show to be the King Sukamon, and the promo Edamon was the best enabler for that card.
Gotcha.
We'll jump into the level 6s now. You still do need a few, but just not as many as most decks you'll see. The first is the Metal Edamon from BT11.
Yeah.
This is on play and when digivolving. Flip 4 and play 7 play cost worth of Digimon here that are not called Ukomon.
And they're all so cheap.
So that's going to play the King, Sukamon, or the Edamon, which are both on play and when digivolving.
Yep.
That's going to play 2 of your level 4s, a level 4 and a Chumon, whatever the case may be. And then that's it. That's all that this card does. And that's why I'm opting for a strategy more centered around the King Sukamon, because this card isn't going to win you the game.
Yeah.
But this card sure as hell could. And I went through this whole spiel just to put in 2 of the EX5 Metal Edamons in the deck anyway.
You still did.
Because this is quite a good card.
It is.
It evos for 3 on any Edamon or Sukamon in name. So it is another 3-cost Evo, which is nice. It is again on play and when digivolving. Delete an opponent's Digimon or Tamer that costs 3. For every Sukamon in the trash, add 1 cost to this. So a lot of the times it's going to delete maybe a level 4, a cheap level 5 maybe. But most of the time, it's going to be our Tamer hate in the deck.
Yeah, being able to delete a 4-cost Tamer is very rare in this game.
Yes, you're almost always going to be able to nuke their setter, which is quite nice. And then it has the ability, opponent's turn, when a Digimon attacks, load a Sukamon to your security to make it attack either this or the security.
First card's ever done that.
Yeah, and so this card, you can either protect your Metal Edamon at the cost of 1 card in the hand, basically, or you can sacrifice it to activate on deletion, on deletion, on deletion, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And so that's it for the Digimon called Sukamon, Edamon, and Chumon. Of course, every yellow deck gets 1 Shine Gray Ruin mode.
Has to.
For the rest of time. And other than being generically a strong yellow card, this is something that I didn't even realize. Let's say we go on top of our level 6 with the Ruin mode, and then we swing. Its ability is end of attack, delete itself and another Digimon.
Yep.
So you delete itself, but then Platinum Sukamon, all of our Sukamon abilities is delete another Sukamon. So effectively, if your opponent has a Sukamon token, delete one of their Digimon, one of their Sukamon tokens, and protect your Ruin mode.
That's wild.
So that is quite a strong combo.
Just keep applying that
goes
5K blanket, right?
No, it doesn't. But
it has to die to
It
do
has
that,
to
yeah.
die, but every time it attacks, it kills effectively 2 things if they have a token.
Yeah.
Which is quite nice. Now, this is where a lot of decks diverge. Because if you're playing this sort of security lineup, you go for like TK.
Yeah.
If you're playing more of the black base, maybe you go for like a TK and Izzy, or
a black Izzy,
or not T. What's the dual tamer with Joe? Izzy and Joe.
Izzy
right?
and Joe. Yeah.
But I've got a different strategy that was inspired by our own Jeff.
Okay.
His original Sukamon deck profile. The loyal fans will know that we're leaning into the purple.
Keenan.
Starting with Keenan Crier. Keenan Crier is a very interesting card because it is quite universal. There are many decks that are playing options and tamers, obviously, and starving them out of that resource or getting that gain 1, draw 1 is quite good. As well as opponent's turn when a Digimon is played by an effect, tap him to gain 1. So we're doing that on our own with our on deletion play a Chumon,
right,
and other things like that, as well as some purple and yellow options that I bet you know what's coming.
I think so.
So this card is going to be able to steal the turn, and we're trying to make it as awkward for our opponent as possible. And our other component to that is the structure deck mat. So we have pitch a card on our hand on a couple of cards, being the Chumon and the Targetmon. And so that's going to help us get to activate this ability, as well as the purple memory setter is perfect for the deck.
Yep.
And so the reason that we're playing these purple these purple tamers is to play triple flame Hell Scythe. So not only is this activating our Keenan when it's out of security, it's playing our 6K King Sukamon in the middle of our opponent's turn, turning something into a white Digimon for the turn, as well as when you turn something into a Sukamon, it has 3K.
Yep.
Flame Hell Scythe negs something
It's gonna
6K.
nuke it. Yeah.
So it's going to basically be instant removal if you have the proper trash setup. So Flame Hell Scythe is quite good in this deck. Then we'll get into some more standard options that you would expect. The first is Pride Memory Boost.
Interesting.
Sets up the trash, plays anything level 4 or lower besides the Ukomon, and then the delay effect is always great.
Yep.
One more memory boost. It's our only restricted
I was wondering
card
if that
in the
was
deck.
in there. Yeah.
Reinforcing is not going to put something very strong on the top of our security most of the time, but it is just another Sukamon going to the trash a lot of the times, which is always good. And then the rare time you put Keenan, Matt, Hell Scythe, or Pride Boost to the top, it's good. And delay gain 3 is very strong. Last 2 cards in the deck are Suka's Curse.
Only a 2 of. Okay.
Yeah, this card is higher in most people's lists. The problem with it being is you're paying 3 memory to use 2 cards in your hand to only draw 1.
Yeah.
So it's quite situational. This is not the deck that draws the most out of all of them because we are hard playing our 4s a lot of the time. So hand size is quite an issue. But a lot of the times, if we're choked to 3 and all we have is a Chumon, we can still get into that King Sukamon because we can effectively warp. And then out of security, make something a token is always good.
Nice.
The more Sukamons on our opponent's board, the better. So that's my take on Sukamon, guys.
I love it, man.
We finally have enough cards that I think it's as competitive as it'll ever get, and it's a lot of fun to play.
Until we see more cards, because they're going to give us more. All right, Basil, thank you so much for bringing this to the table. I know you've been working on it night and day for forever. I know you put it aside for a second before regionals, and then you just picked it right back up.
That's right.
It's finally here, guys. So jump in the comments, tell us what you think, and we'll see you guys in the next one. We got it.